I believe it's our 11th episode of the Tim Kirby Russia live stream. Hello, friends. It's your buddy, Tim Kirby, back from a mysterious few days of mystery. Yes, that was very badly delivered, but that's okay. I'm sure you'll tolerate it. We're going to be talking Russia, and if time allows, we're actually going to be talking a little bit of talking points about Islam. That will be very spicy. So let me run through the news of the day today, our overall topics, and we'll actually talk about them. Remember, if you want to join in, you can always do the feature in Telegram that allows you to raise your hand and participate in the conversation, or you can basically write a reply to any of the images that I've sent regarding the live stream there that are in the chat, because your comments sort of all go to one place, regardless of where you put them. As long as they're in the Tim Kirby hardcore chat, I'll see them. Okay, so anyways, our topics for today are, number one, Tim, where have you been? 2, Russia leaves the Bologna process for education. That's a lot more important than it sounds. Dan Scavino Award for spam. That is also more important than it sounds. Hillary Clinton goes after Putin. Number 5, countries are defying the World Health Organization, which is a topic that is very important for you guys. To be honest, I think that if I had an anti-World Health Organization channel, I'd be doing better than having a pro-Russian channel. Number 6, India making moves, and a fantastic quote from their foreign minister. We're also going to talk about the burning of the oldest wooden church on the territory of Ukraine by Ukrainian nationalists. And something is happening outside Russia's first McDonald's. Then, like I said, we'll get into some Islamic talking points after that. We've got quite the, as Russians say, vinaigrette salad here today. We got all sorts of little goodies. Let me actually start looking at you guys here. And, yeah, so let me get the chat open. That would also be an amazing concept, so I actually know what's going on. Oh, great. So, yeah, any questions that you have, just, write them in as a response to, like, the picture that I sent that says Telegram live stream starting in 15, okay? So, or whatever. And I'll see them. Or you can do the raise your hand feature, and we can actually talk. So anyways, guys, issue number 1, news number 1, where have I been? Well, I had my time with the kids this weekend. So, yeah, in Chekhov County, the most beautiful place in Russia, there was a lot of work going on, especially getting the pool in order. And to be honest, I kind of was doing, like, physical stuff from sunup to sundown. So I decided to take a little bit of a break. There are some people who are very good at staying in the info war, like 24 hours a day from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. That would be my hero and your hero, Joaquin Flores. He can do it. I can't. I kind of need a break sometimes to do something physical, and so I took 2 days off to spend time with the kids and not be in the info war. But now I'm back. And now our second issue: Russia leaves the Bologna. Well, it would be like Bologna process for education. Bologna, the city that gave us bologna. Aren't we joyously happy? Did you know that bologna in Russian is called doctor's sausage? Yes, that's quite appetizing, and that is the name for it. Why? Because apparently it was recommended by all doctors in 1930s Soviet Russia, because apparently bologna is very nutrient-dense, so they say. Or so they said in 1930s Soviet Union. But so anyways, what does that mean? Like, there's a Bologna process, it's education. Well, basically, the Bologna process, usually referred to in Russian as being the Bologna system, is basically the European standard for education. Many Russian people who left in the 1990s were probably very disappointed to find out that all of their fancy pants Soviet degrees that they got from universities don't count in the Western world. And in fact, even after Russia joined this Bologna process and all that and the other, I believe in North America, Russian degrees have never counted, okay? So if you have a doctorate degree in Russia, and you go to Canada, even before, like, the hot phase of the war in Ukraine, worth nothing. Not worth the paper it's written on. But ironically, American degrees count here. So that also kind of shows this sort of colonial status that Russia has been under for a long time, where someone can come from Western Europe and their degree counts for everything, but Russians' degrees count for nothing over there. So as part of also being a colony, it meant that Russia was slowly sort of reforming, another lovely buzzword that's kind of a means of manipulation, but we'll use it. We'll accept the info war. of the info manipulation. They were reforming their system to be more like the kind in Europe, you know, to play ball and get along and this, that, and the other, which introduced something that has the most beautiful sounding name in all history, the YGA test, which has been the real bane of Russia. I mean, Russia didn't used to have standardized testing, and then the YGA came in, and basically that was that's like the test where if you pass it with a good score, you get a full ride college scholarship. If not, you don't. Because that was a big thing about the Soviet Union. You know, if you could write a good, I don't know, dissertation, essay, or defense in your own, you know, defense, you could pretty much get into any university, and there were a lot of spots available. And a lot of people in Russia have been sort of noticing how with time, you know, the amount of people who get the full ride scholarship seems to be decreasing, and you know, do we need to have an entire country full of people with college educations? No. In fact, I think Russia actually suffers from that problem of overeducation. It seems like everyone here has a college degree, so that means that kind of no one does. And a lot of people wasted, you know, 3 or 4 years of their youth on some degree that they don't even use. I'm someone where I guess I didn't waste my youth because I was a good boy, and I got a 4-year degree in 3 years in America. Still paid a lot of money for it, but at least saved 1 year of my life to actually do stuff rather than be in school. But so I actually still to this day use all those skills that I learned in my university, but a lot of people don't. So not to say that I always think that everyone needs to be shoved into university and fall into that Democrat talking point that we all need to have people be educated or it's bad. Not necessarily, especially when the best education is trial by error and sort of doing things with your own hands. So anyways, but that was an aside. That was an aside, guys. Sorry, I'm going nuts with my asides already. But I think this is a very good thing for Russia that it is leaving this European system, because trust me, the European education system, besides teaching people how to read and write in English so they can absorb propaganda better, they don't seem to be doing a particularly great job. And one thing is, usually, you guys, whenever we start, there is a storm of messages, and right now there are none of no comments. This is slightly scary, guys. But there are a lot of you watching, so hopefully this is not a problem. Could you guys at least just type something like "hi" in the chat, because I'm worried that's not working at all. Okay, so point number 2. No, this is number 3 of our news for today. So Russia leaving this Bologna process, that is huge. That is going to be, it's going to be the death of standardized testing, which is, I think is great. It is, the thing I'm worried about though, is if we go back to the Soviet model, the Soviet model had a lot of, teacher says this, you repeat it. This is what the book said. You repeat it. And Lenin said that repetition is the mother of learning. Kind of. But that's also a very particular type of learning that kind of keeps you inside the box. So again, this is why one thing where everyone's like, but the Soviet education system, it created so many wonderful engineers. Yes, it did. But how many great thinkers, orators, creative people did it actually create? People who are sort of not in the, like, STEM fields, right? I don't know. So, again, I think the true path would be the Tsarist path. But anyways, moving on from that, I don't want to go too deep into that unless we have some major questions. Oh, people are responding in the chat. We have Pepe in a James Bond tuxedo. We have the letter Z from Pete. Amazing. We also have Ramzan Kadyrov. So, okay, great. The stickers are flying. Thank you. Things are working. Okay, our next bit of news is the Dan Scavino Award for spam. And maybe you guys should see. Our good friend Nathaniel is very good at pointing out to me spam. But the way the Telegram program here works, this application, is on the phone. It's kind of unclear how to really get rid of spam. Whereas on the desktop computer, you right-click the person's little icon, you go to delete, and it'll offer you the opportunity to delete everything they've ever posted and ban them forever and report them for spam all in one go. It is an amazing feature, but it's only on the desktop version. So sometimes I wait around to do it so that way I can do it effectively. And I swear, this Dan Scavino guy, whoever, whether it's he himself or some other people, there were 50 messages about Dan Scavino. 50 identical messages in the chat. This is very heartbreaking because I was so proud this morning to see, I think we started the day with like 300 messages. It was ridiculous. But unfortunately, of the 300, 50 of them were spam. So who is this Dan Scavino guy who is spamming our group brutally to get people to join his Telegram channel? So let's read from Wikipedia who the hell this is. Daniel Scavino Jr., born in 1976, is an American political advisor who served in the Trump administration as White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications from 2019 to 2021, meaning he didn't make it. Wait. No, he did. Yeah, he did make it to basically the end of the line. Oh, that's awesome. All right, so he was a success. Excuse me, mixing up my dates. And director of social media. He was there from 2017 to 2021. So that's probably why he's on Telegram. But it's also interesting, if he's the director of social media, Trump has fantastic social media. Mr. Scavino, why are you posting 50 messages to a pro-Russian channel in response to everything I do? Please let me know. In fact, guys, how about this? I got an idea. Some of you, because I went to Scavino's Telegram channel, because I wanted to just like copy and paste the same message 50 times to him, but he doesn't allow comments. Would anyone be able to take some time, a few minutes out of their life, and try to find this guy's contact information? Let's get Dan Scavino on the channel. Let's at least get a response from him and ask him why he's the spammiest thing that has ever spammed the Tim Kirby Russia universe. All right, so that would be amazing. Let's see if any of you guys can do it. Abibas, I'm looking at you. Scavino previously was the general manager of Trump National Golf Club, Westchester, or Worcestershire, probably would be the more British pronunciation for a more proper Worcestershire, and the director of social media for the Donald Trump 2016 presidential campaign. So this guy has quite the social media background, and in a way, I respect it. He is coming strong. He has a strong pro-Trump message. I don't quite know what he's doing, but I looked at his channel, and it's actually pretty fun. Very in-your-face pro-Trump, which is fun, in my opinion. I like it. So anyways, let's see if we can get some of you guys to get in contact with Mr. Scavino, and maybe we can have a chit-chat with him. Wouldn't it be amazing to get an interview with this guy about what things were like behind the Trump campaign? And one thing for insiders, when I started doing this, I was kind of thinking, well, this is before the special operation and when food prices went up by like 20 or 30%, which I'm still paying for. I was kind of considering throwing some money into advertising here on Telegram. So I went and I saw the Telegram offers some sort of like account where you can like put money into it and begin an advertising campaign. And I thought, okay, let's blow like $100 and let's see what $100 can do. And maybe it'll get me a few hundred subscribers. This will be the path to success. Well, I looked, and when I tried to kind of like add money onto it, this was again before February 24th and the super sanctions. Basically, you have to spend 1 million euros or no advertising on Telegram for you. And I think one of the reasons why Mr. Scavino isn't getting banned is I think he may have actually put in this 1 million euro budget to advertise on Telegram. That is within the realm of possibility. Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps I'm right. We'll see. But Telegram is a very expensive platform. I don't know how much the actual ads cost, but the budget has to be 1 million euros or more. So anyways, that was our third news topic for the day. Oh, my God, so much news related to me, related to Russia. Here we go. Hillary Clinton goes after Putin. Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's ridiculous. Let's see. Hillary Clinton. Putin has messianic belief in himself and aims to restore the Russian Empire. This is from Russian American Daily, a fantastic channel that you should subscribe to. Speaking to an audience at the Hay Festival, Clinton said, "Excuse me, my eyesight is failing me. It is magnification time." Speaking to an audience at the Hay Festival, Clinton said that she had witnessed Putin's most messianic belief in himself and what he was destined to be, as well as his goal of restoring Imperial Russia while working with him. This had prompted her to write memos warning he would become a threat to Europe and the rest of the world. Clinton called for the creation of a tribunal similar to those held after the Balkan Wars and Rwandan genocide to hold individual Russians accountable for their war crimes. She acknowledged that it was always difficult to go after a head of state unless they were deposed. Many of you in the chat, from what I saw, basically said that Hillary Clinton is she's doing some projection there, because boy, if there's someone let's say accused of a lot of shenanigans, we'll call them. I am not an expert in the history of the Clinton clan, but holy moly, do they have a lot of accusations lobbed at them over the years for taking out political opponents and people who know too much. So first off, about these tribunals, I don't know. Secondly, in some ways, the winners write history, and the winners get to do the tribunaling. Hitler and his buddies found out about that after World War II real quick. So again, as it stands today, it does not look like Hillary Clinton's going to be on the winning side of history on this issue, as many of you pointed out. One thing that I also say is sort of ironic is Putin is accused of being very egoistic, and again, like she said, having this sort of messianic vision for himself, which is actually the opposite. If you were to read our buddy of the program and a very smart chap, Alexander Dugin, the philosopher and one of the most dangerous minds in the world, or something, whatever they call him, Putin's brain, very interesting guy, very well spoken, and he would even say that the people would actually want Putin to behave like a messianic leader, in a lot more than just a very serious, pragmatic man in a suit. And that's in some ways true. And I think one of the reasons why Putin may be so popular with a lot of you guys out there is because in a lot of ways, Putin is actually more of, I think, like the Republican ideal of a leader, rather than in some ways being the Russian ideal of the leader. He's not a Stalin. He's not an Ivan the Terrible. He's not quite that kind of guy. But that's kind of the guy that in some ways Russia wants. It very much reminds me of, I think he's almost like Leto II from the Dune series, who transformed into a giant, a god emperor worm being, who had to sort of sacrifice himself for the future reluctantly, and he sort of allowed this cult to be built around him, even though he found it disgusting, because it sort of worked in his benefit. Putin's actually higher than that because he doesn't. Besides, in Grozny, where the Chechens are, there's not stuff like named after Putin. There are no Putin books. Yeah, he's very much gone away from this. Although he has plenty of opportunity to do it, he has very much stepped back from any sort of like God Emperor role, despite being accused of that. So Hillary Clinton is willfully ignorant. Some other people use some other terminology for her that I will not repeat because the YouTube algorithm does not like it. And I've been told that certain people watch this program have been asking their children to watch it in order to learn more about history. So you'll have to keep the horrible criticisms of women in the English language to a minimum. So anyways, do we have any messages in the chat? Maybe something's coming up. Maybe. Ooh, we have Kim Jong-un is in the chat. He is also using Telegram on a very lovely computer that's on the tiniest computer desk in the world. Mr. Kim, a leader of North Korea, could not sit at that desk. I could not fit one leg under that desk. Why is it so small? Credo Inverte. It is not a fan channel. We're reverting to Scavino. So that's his real channel, you think. Hillary, please die already. Now that I can't see on YouTube. Wow. That's amazing. Coming from JP. JP is firing on all cylinders tonight. Pete, I thought the Russiagate walls finally closed in and crushed Hillary Clinton's head. No, because no one got punished for Russiagate. If you noticed that it got debunked and kind of got some of the light shed onto it, but really no one's been punished for that. Again, the winners of history can create their tribunals, and if a certain orange man gets back in power, who knows what could happen. Although, his first term, well, he kind of half sunk in the swamp. He did his best, but yeah, we'll see. But anyways, Big Surge, bring back the Russian Empire, USSR 2.0. Ooh, that's a little slight contradiction in terms. That's not a contradiction. JP, trust the plan, lol. The courts are stacked. She will continue to get away with murder until she dies. What Hillary Clinton, Stalin approves. Big Surge, Leto II is more like Stalin. The Golden Path kind of works like dialectics. Dialectics from L. Ron Hubbard, that dialectics? Or do you mean actually like something more ancient? But That's what I was trying to say about the Leto the Second character in the Dune series of this Worm Emperor guy. That's like what I think Hillary Clinton is sort of accusing Putin of. But then Leto the Second behaved that way, but he didn't actually believe it in his heart that he was some sort of person. I guess this would be like she is accusing him of being like, I think, didn't Nero kind of tell people that he was God? Maybe like a Nero, like a mad Roman emperor. Unfortunately, my Roman emperor knowledge is not that great. We'll speculatively say Nero, but I think actually a few Roman emperors went mad. So there you go. The Paradigm Shift channel says, I think that Dan Scavino's channel is a spam operation. There are a few mirrors of the channel, and they post legit articles to attract people to join. They spam your channel to get people to join theirs. They can collect usernames and channel subscriptions and then use it for other purposes. Sell it to spammers, advertisers, malware, planting. Yeah, maybe. And also one of the things where this channel is super focused on Russia. It also seemed to appear under posts related to China. So I think it could be some sort of Russia-China intellectual trap. But I still want to talk to him for no reason. Now, I'm intrigued by this man now. I must get to know him. We just see all of the West political elites and realize we've been effed for decades. No matter which party or which country, all part of the same one world-controlled ideology. Says Credo in Veritate. Well, the one thing is, if that was entirely true, there wouldn't be a sort of World War III for the multipolar versus monopolar world. I think you're right about the average person. We live controlled lives. Feudalism, from the moment humans stopped being animal-like, we've kind of been living in a type of feudalism of different flavors of it. That's the way I see things. I think we just need to acknowledge this and go forward with it. But many people like to live in fantasy land, and they believe, usually they say this was a democracy and it will be again. And I am the boss here. I am the voter. I run the country. Sure you do. Slav Bull. Wow, that is a manly username. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. That's not related to this chat quite yet. Let's see. Okay, now you guys are going off on tangents, so we're not going to read any more comments for now. Remember, if you want to participate in this podcast and say things nice to me or mean to me, you can do the function by, I believe, clicking your name. You can raise your hand. I have never done it, but I believe it's possible because it's happened. Anyways, let's see. Our issue number 5 in our top sort of Russia news. Many countries refuse to cooperate with the World Health Organization Pandemic Treaty. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS, Iran, and Malaysia, Brazil in particular, announced that it would completely leave the World Health Organization and would not allow the new amendments to apply to its population. Remember, what did Russia do the second that the West, the United States, Washington, unilaterally shot down all of their demands related to the Ukrainian crisis in Europe? They shot them down 100%. What the Russians do? Got rid of all the COVID things. COVID over, not participating in the farce anymore, going out of the umbrella of the New World Order. I wish I had Alex Jones's voice. Also, before this, guys, I was sort of voicing a thing about MMA fighting. Valentina Shevchenko in the ring. So my voice is a little blown out. But anyways, these major nations, which make up a very large part of the world's population, by the way, when you add it all together, they will not allow the new amendments to apply to their population, says Iranian journalist Kayal Muazzin. He announced this on his Telegram channel. Didn't have too much to say about this, guys, but I know you guys are definitely happy that this, or definitely skeptical of the World Health Organization, and happy to see any news about it getting its face shoved in the dirt, because with this, especially like with these UN and these international organizations, once that first domino falls, usually the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, and Russia is kind of a big fat first domino in terms of the World Health Organization and breaking away from the pandemic lies. It has also been the real big domino in terms of, they confiscated Venezuela's gold, but the world kept going. They confiscated Russia's foreign reserve currencies. The world stopped and noticed. You know what I mean? Russia is a big domino. big fat domino that fell. So anyways, piece of news number 6. It's a quote. You know, somewhere, Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. That, if it is you, it's yours. But if it is me, Europe, it's ours. So yeah, so basically this is from the Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar, who said this, but basically saying that whenever Europe has an issue, it's global, but whenever like Africa has an issue, it's their problem. And that hypocrisy is 100% true. And by the way, India is going to start to rub a lot of stuff in Europe's face because they are buying a lot of Russian resources, and they are going to be the ones to send them at a very high markup to Europe. So good for India. They are using their geopolitical location, size, and independence. Ironically, think about this. India, who's occupied by the British for a long time and occupied by the Mughals for a long time, you know, the Islamic rulers that the Hindus did not consider to be their own people for centuries, are now the ones pursuing the independent policy, whereas the West is not. So think about it this way. Germany behaves like colony. India behaves like independent actor. This is the kind of insight you get on Tim Kirby Russia. You should tell your friends. Get on this channel. Tell your friends you're getting good insight. This is an amazing channel, and you should be... That's too arrogant. I would be appreciative of you joining up here, because I think we're bringing hot insight here, guys. Anyways, number 7, the burning of the oldest wooden church on the territory of Ukraine. But remember, Ukraine is a fake country with fake borders. And so a lot of the things that are the territory of Ukraine are on the territory of a lot of other places, including Russia proper. But again, you guys have seen it. I've made some big comments about it. It's really sad to see this piece of history, this oldest wooden church on that territory, being destroyed by the, probably by the neo-Nazi battalions, because the normal soldiers don't care or just want to not die. This is, again, these neo-Nazi activists. Because you have to remember, like, what was it, Aidar, and I think there's like the Tornado, and especially Azov, they're the ones that have been really fighting. But you haven't seen a whole lot of right sector. Right sector, that's the political arm, and I would not be surprised if that was the right sector guys who are more the street activist types who actually did that. But trust me, they're just as pagan and yet satanic, even though those are contradictory in terms. They're both pagan and satanic enough to do something like this. Very, very sad. Very reminiscent of the church burnings of the 1990s in Scandinavia. So, before I go to my last piece of news, I'll just tell you that we're going to read the messages in the chat real soon. And if someone wants to talk to me, that would be a great time to raise your hand. Our last piece of news before we get into Islamic chat time. Number 8, something is happening outside the first McDonald's. I walked past the first McDonald's today, and they were either removing or putting in like new benches. There were guys there cleaning out like the sewers. Something is happening. As has been predicted, speculated, will McDonald's be released under a new name with Russian ownership? Will it be, I've heard a lot of things where they just want to call it like Mach, but Mach means the poppy flower in Russian. That name is already taken, but I think they might just call it that. Anyways, McDonald's is often referred to as Macduck, which is the way that Scrooge McDuck's name is pronounced in Russian. Scrooge McDuck was a very popular character in the 90s in Russia because the DuckTales show, which was from the 80s, got translated and played on Russia in the 90s, like when communism ended and everyone was excited about all these foreign TV shows and all that. So DuckTales. Ooh. Okay, let's check the chat here, guys, and then we're going to go off to Islamic chat time. Note, I'm an Eastern Orthodox Christian, not a Muslim, but we're going to have a lot to say about that, and it's going to be amazing. Aurelian says, Caligula, Commoditus, Elagablus. Oh, my God. Elagablus? I don't know how to pronounce that. That's the first time I've seen that one. Probably a couple more went insane. So anyways, yeah, Caligula. Yeah, Caligula wasn't... Caligula might be a good example of someone who went mad with their own power. Or, of course, too, someone who also went mad with their own power more recently would be... well, the question is insane or not. Hitler definitely took himself super seriously, super messianic vision of himself. So anyways, the Soviet Union collapsed, though. I don't know what you're referring to. We'll let that one go. JP is writing, what's the scoop on Metropolitan Hilarion? Did he piss someone off or just want to go back to Hungary? Because he was removed as the Russian Orthodox Church's Department of External Church Relations. I don't understand that, but I have a strong feeling that it has something to do. Well, this is a complete guess. This is so there's things that I know and I can tell you. There are things that I have a good feeling about. This is a complete shot in the dark. Shot in the dark, JP. That's what I wanted to say. Complete shot in the dark. I'm going to guess that he has been maybe not in this time of real crisis. He may have been dropping the ball. It could have just been that, you know, they really, trust me, info is real serious right now in Russia. Dead freaking serious. And perhaps he just wasn't up to snuff. That's what I think it could be. Could he have angered some person over something? Yes, but I am not privy to that information. I got nothing to say about it. So PR says the World Health Organization amendment is only pushed back to allow more time for countries to reconsider amendments again for 10 months. It's not over yet, folks. Oh, so it's a 10-month push off. Interesting. But then again, remember with this push off, it can also come from the other side. Them rejecting it, that's a sort of bureaucratic thing. Let's not get into the black pill mentality. That's of always looking for something evil in this. I think it's a good sign. But remember, this could also be the West that is going to offer it again in 10 months. So anyway, our Aurelian says, very sad, but God will repay. He will indeed. Speaking of which, one interpretation of God is what we're going to talk about now, especially because two things happened today. One, like I said, one of our viewers said that she was trying to expose her children to this podcast as much as she can so they learn about history. So we got a request to talk a little bit about more history here, although I'm not a historian. And also because I saw this very passionate, fiery discussion going on in the chat about Islam. So this man in our chat, Didact, was making some points about Islam, and I kind of wanted to go over them. Now, the question is, why do I care about this? I'm not a Muslim, so why do I care? First off, it's just interesting. I have a lot to say about it, every point. But also, it's very relevant to Russia because the way that Didact is discussing Islam is the same way that the Ukrainians, over the last 8+ years, discuss Russia and Russians. So it's very similar. The logic, sort of the tone, and also I think that Didact is starting to fall into certain traps of like this black pill little n nationalism. Not to offend you, man, but yeah, if we're going to spread ideas on the internet, then let's all have a chit chat about them, and hopefully you'll feel that my I don't want to call it criticism. Retorts are fair. So anyways, point number one. Yeah, anything else in the chat? No. Okay, so we got a lot of people watching. Holy moly, look at all the people. Oh my God. You people are everywhere. Wow, we're doing really good tonight. That's a lot of people. Okay. Anyways, so number one, he says, Islam goes into decline every time its expansion is stopped, proven by the long-term decline of the Ottoman Empire after Lepanto and Vienna, and by the earlier decline of the Moors in Spain after Tours. Well, you know, especially we mentioned Alexander Dugin in this podcast before. If Dugin was here, he'd say that a lot of societies almost can be, he says that Russia is almost like a heart always beating, of course, extremely slowly, beating over decades, expanding and contracting. We'll look at the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire expanded to be really big, and then it declined. The Russian Empire expanded really big, declined. World War II, it expanded again, declined, fell apart in the 90s, expanding now, growing. It's kind of like a little bit, Dugin called it a heart. I think it's kind of like an accordion. I don't see there something particularly different. And you just mentioned the Moors in Spain. Well, what about the Spanish Empire? They had this explosive, passionary, religious growth of this giant empire in the New World, and it's gone. So I don't know how Islam is particularly like has this particular feature of its mentality that causes it to expand and then just collapse into nothing. And especially if Islam had a feature that makes it decline hard after expansion, why is it still around and so big today? You see what I mean? I don't quite understand that point. Okay. So that was point number one. It's Islamic chat time on Tim Kirby Russia. We're defending our friends in Chechnya, Ingushetia, Tatarstan, and so on. Number two, Islam is a heresy of Christianity, proven by sources dating all the way back to the late 7th century, including the testimonies of John of Damascus and St. John of Chrysostom. Well, okay. Again, if we're looking at this thing from a non-religious standpoint, from a non-faith standpoint, there were a lot of Roman writers who wrote the same thing about the Christians in like the end of the 1st century, century and a half AD. The same thing with the same type of criticism, saying this is garbage, get it out of here, this is evil, no. So if ancient people dissing your religion makes it false, then that also applies to Christianity. And also, is Islam a heresy of Christianity? Well, from a Christian standpoint, it sure is. From an Orthodox Christian standpoint, boom. You know, Jesus came, he died on the cross for us, he left his church, and that's the final thing. There doesn't need to be anything else. And Islam says, yes, there is. There was another revelation, and you guys who are Christian are like kind of right, but you've really been manipulated and you've lost the way and all that stuff. It really all depends on your perspective. That's not like an argument. I'll put it this way. Like the saying that Islam is a heresy of Christianity is not going to argue any Muslims out of their faith. I'll put it that way. Point number three, Islam brings suffering and misery to every country that it rules, proven by taking a look at any Islamic country's economy before the discovery of oil, their records on human rights, and their treatment of women. Okay. I'm sorry, but Mr. Didact, I'm sorry, but this one's kind of ignorant. Okay, so here we go. Arabs took a lot of slaves. Arabs engaged in chattel slavery. Who else engaged in chattel slavery? Oh, Western European Christians. So if you're going to say Christendom as a whole, then unfortunately, guys, there's a very recent history, relatively speaking, of chattel slavery, including in the United States, Catholic and Protestant, Eastern Europe, and Orthodoxy does not have that history. So if you want to compare it to maybe Eastern Orthodoxy, you have a point. When it comes to Protestantism and the Catholic Church, you do not. So we have Arabs engaging in chattel slavery of Africans, and we have Protestants and Catholics doing it too. So that's about your human rights. Furthermore, guys, remember, during a crisis, human rights go out the window. World War I, World War II, not started by the Muslims. A treatment of women, okay. That's also that's a really big open topic of what sort of treatment of women is proper, and is the concept of treatment of women in itself even sexist? I don't know. But the counter argument to that would be, are all the little Sarah Jessica Parkers running around the West with their dogs and wine and no children, pumped full antidepressants, are they that happy in their sort of post-Christian environment? So I don't know. So let's just say this. If Islam brings this extreme, different level of suffering to the average person, so like, how does this look? So is a medieval peasant in the Arabian Peninsula somehow vastly worse off than a medieval peasant in Germany? During the Industrial Revolution, where Marxism comes from, it comes from a lot of labor exploitation. So again, is some guy out in the sticks in frickin' Oman, was he vastly and completely inherently different to someone in the middle of nowhere in Brittany and France in like the year 1800? I don't know. I'm just not seeing that, okay? So, again, Orthodox Christian guy defends Islam today because this is full of, this is what I call an Arkansas view of Islam, very Republican view of Islam. Anyways, we're continuing on. Oh, yes. Oh, boy. Oh, I knew we were talking Islam. They're going to be, oh, boy, we're getting some comments. Okay, hold on. let's go through point 4 and 5, and then there's sort of a pause in the conversation here, and we'll get to your comments. So far, though, no one wants to raise their hand and talk. No one wants to tell me to go F myself with their own voice. Anyways, so point number 4. Turkey has serious structural economic problems proven by modern economic data. So I guess he was referring mostly to like Erdogan and all that stuff. That doesn't have to do with Islam. Pass. Number 5, Islam has a severe apostasy problem, which even its own clerics now admit. Proven by statements from Bilal Phillips, poll data from Iran, and even Muhammad Hijab. Muhammad Hijab is a really famous like YouTuber who tries to convert people to Islam. I think he doesn't do a good job. If you want to talk to or watch a Islamic YouTuber that actually would make someone want to join Islam, Mufti Menk. That is someone. That is a person I would love to have. Mufti Menk on this program. He is an amazing speaker, and also if you are Christian, I recommend listening to Mufti Menk and just sort of like flopping Allah for God or book or whatever, because a lot of the stuff he says I think is sort of universally true for anyone that believes in a monotheistic religion. He has an awesome channel, Mufti Menk, friend of Tim Kirby Russia that we've never met. So I'd love to have him on the show. But anyways, there's an apostasy problem. Oh my God. So you're saying Islam has an apostasy problem, but like Protestantism is an apostasy problem. like Christianity had this explosion of Protestantism, and whenever, like, even with like within little communities, like even within like the Amish, as soon as they have a disagreement about something, they break off into like these sort of little subdivisions of different Amish within the community. Christianity in the West has had this huge problem of apostasy, of people going against the religion, of just sort of creating their own thing, turning atheist. Like, global atheism comes from the West. What are you talking about? Like, again, maybe if this person is speaking from a very specifically Eastern Orthodox perspective, you could say maybe. But then someone would be like, excuse me, wasn't the biggest, most powerful Eastern Orthodox country the first country to enforce state atheism? So again, I don't know. I just don't see this. Like, in the modern world, people are turning away from religion. They're creating their own little weird subdivisions. I mean, look at Syria. Syria is full of these, like, the Alawites and the, oh my God, what is it? It starts with the letter D. Oh my God, they're that subgroup. But basically, like how, like, Mormons are sort of like really loosely based on Christianity. They kind of took their Protestantism and just sort of created their own book and ran away with it. Like, Syria is full of those kind of groups that are sort of like that same thing. They kind of started Islamic and then just sort of did their own thing. Like, I don't know. I don't see how Islam is unique or different in this way. Anyways, we're at a pause in this guy's Arkansas-based analysis of the Islamic world, and it's just fascinating. I hope you guys are enjoying this. If this is garbage, if this is feces, and you're not interested in it, let me know. Credo di veritate. The division is whipped up by those in the elites who own everything and want to control all of us. Oh, well, Credo, listen, dude. If you're going to be looking at the world from this, that there's this one central power that controls and manipulates everything, that all conflicts in the world are essentially like kabuki theater of this process, then you're not going to like my channel, because I don't believe in that. I do believe that there's competition within historical processes. They're just more battles within the elites than battles between, like, the masses, okay? We could talk, that's actually kind of a good question to talk about. Maybe one day we'll get into that. I don't know. I'll copy it here. Maybe. Oh, I know I can save it. You can save messages in Telegram. It's freaking amazing. I love Telegram. JP, did you already talk about Erdogan and his Islamic Empire aspirations? Did I miss that? We're not talking about Turkey. We're talking about these guys' points about Islam as a whole and how it's somehow uniquely crazy different in all these bad ways, despite it being one of the world's biggest religions. It's like, well, let me think. It's like, well, I don't know who's number one, Pepsi or Coca-Cola. We'll say that Coca-Cola is number one. It's kind of like dissing on Pepsi. Well, they only have 45% of the world's cola sales, not 48 like Coca-Cola. They must be inferior. Like, oh my God, they must be doing something right if that many people are buying it. I don't know. Anyways, Big Surge. There is a chance that Islam was influenced by Syriac Christianity. After all, Muhammad was introduced to monotheism by a Syrian Nestorian Christian monk named Bahira. Oh boy, we're getting into the life of the Prophet Muhammad. I cannot, I do not want to jump into that because I'm not an expert, but obviously, again, if we're going away from, because from a religious context, Muhammad was inspired by divine inspiration. You know, that's for them, you know, that's it. Okay. From a religious standpoint. From a more atheistic scientific standpoint, yes, obviously Muhammad was very inspired by tales of Judaism and Christianity and sort of other religions. And, you know, as the key person and speaker of the Quran, if you think about it, again, from an atheistic standpoint, I always hear this meme on the internet, but people try to say that either the Prophet Muhammad or the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ were stupid and look at all these mistakes. And of course, with Jesus, they also accuse the apostles of being stupid because they're the ones who really recorded his life. Jesus wasn't sitting there recording himself, as was the Prophet Muhammad was speaking. He wasn't writing. Other people were. Similar situation. But anyway, so they're saying that the two great heroes of two great religions, and they're in Islam they're referred to as the companions. In Christianity, we have the apostles, that they were all dumb or foolish or something. Guys, like both of these groups of people started a way of life that was the basis for the societies that brought us to the point where we have the ability to use Telegram and have this giant chat. Like they built the reality and these, again, mental ideological systems that provided like the core for society. They weren't dumb, neither of them. The Druze, thank you, Big Surge. The Druze are that other group where they're like Islamic Mormons. Yes. Oh my God. Oh, I feel so much better. Okay. Oh man. Whew. Okay. Thank you very much. Anyways, remember, if you have some comments, we're going to go through the rest of this anti-Islamic rant that didn't really make sense to me. Maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you think I am some sort of Muslim butt kisser here. I don't know. But I think there's a lot of flaws here. So anyways, another point. So that was point number 5 in this big argument, but he goes back to 1. So let me change this to point 6, point 7, point 8, and then we're going to end the show probably. So point 6, show us a full Quranic manuscript that is Uthmanic from 652 AD, which matches the Quran recension of Hafs from 1924. So I believe what he's saying is that the Quran is not identical in its versions from sort of point A to point Z later on. That has happened with like every religion. And one of the reasons that Judaism became such a big hit and inspired probably Christianity and Islam, again, from an atheistic perspective where we're not looking into things from the standpoint of divine inspiration, from a purely like materialistic human feelings sort of way of looking at things. Well, you know, one of the things that was different about the Judaic tradition was that they really meticulously recorded things, and they tried their best to keep all of their religious writings to be as similar as they can. Obviously, some things were added later, like this whole Kabbalah crap that Madonna believes in was added later. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that added or changed, but it was that desire to make this sort of eternal message, despite the fact that that's kind of not really humanly possible, that was really, really at the core of what made Judaism superior to paganism, and then it spread to Christianity and Islam, and so on and so forth. But again, maybe if he's trying to talk at things from some sort of atheistic perspective, that makes sense. But like, dude, like Christianity has kind of the same problems. Judaism, again, has the same problems of books changing over time, despite the fact that these groups really, really do not want them to change, and also sometimes have an article of faith. One of the big articles of faith within Islam is that, you know, the Quran as is, that's the way it always was, because that is the direct word of God, 100%, infallible. Well, you know, article of faith there, man. So I don't know. That's kind of a criticism where that could apply to basically like any religion, except for maybe Scientology, because that was made in the modern era, and now everything's on disk. So, well, obviously, L. Ron Hubbard wrote that on typewriters, but, you know, modern era enough that you can just sort of copy and paste it. So I don't know. Point number 7, he says, show us clear proof that Muhammad actually existed, as he is described in the much later Hadith and Sirah, from contemporary sources dating back to 570-632. Wasn't that before his life? And it was AD, that cannot be easily debunked or as redacted from the Abbasid period of the 8th and 9th centuries. None could be found. Guess what? If the Prophet Muhammad, again, not from a divine perspective, from the secular scientific perspective, if the Prophet Muhammad didn't exist, it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. It matters that people believe in him. It matters that this system that is offered in his name became extremely popular enough for people to fight and die for it, and it is still popular today. That is what matters. Just like for the fact that, yeah, Karl Marx defended the working man, never really worked a day in his life, doesn't matter. That is not going to stop the red tide of people who believe in that sort of mentality. It's all about the message and the marketing, the reality of who was what and where, in a factual sense, doesn't matter. So that does not matter. That is not going to that is not going to change anyone's mind about Islam. I'll tell you that much, man. Point number 8 shows clear proof that all 4 of the Rashidun caliphs actually existed at the time they were supposed to have, using contemporary sources. Again, there's a big thing about Jesus was born during the time of like Herod, but he wasn't, and this whole thing about Pontius Pilate, not really any information about him and the governorship. So there seems to be some sort of timeline errors about the birth of Jesus relative to the Roman and the Jewish like bureaucracy. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. That is not the reason that your ancestors believed in the message of Jesus Christ. You know, that people weren't praying, you know, or are praying today. But let's go back in time to when people were hardcore. So like medieval times, people in medieval times weren't like, oh my God, the Bible is in such great alignment with historical events. That's the reason that Christ is Lord. No. That's so, again, that's kind of black pill. That's so like frontal lobe, like literal thinking. This is like when these Kent Hovind Protestants, because for some reason they believe the world is, you know, whatever, 6,000 or 8,000 years old. So they have to like go into some sort of scientific documents to be like, the sediment proves that the world is actually 6,000 years. Just shut up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, that's so aggravating. That one actually really aggravates me because it sort of demonstrates a complete lack of understanding of the way that religion and ideology works. And ideology is kind of my business. So it's kind of like a carpenter when he sees something made of really crappy carpentry. Unbelievable. Fecal, I would say. So anyways, carrying on. We have very few comments. So here, I asked you guys, if this was awful, if this was a terrible discussion, let me know. There are plenty of people watching, and no one said this sucks. So I'm going to have a hypothesis that you enjoyed it. Okay? So anyways, you have a couple comments, but if that's it, guys, if there's nothing else going on, I'm going to bail. We had a whole big news breakdown, Russian news. We had a breakdown of religious history today. Kind of amazing. I'm happy with the show. So anyways, Big Surge says, Bahira met Muhammad as a child, and 12 years old, so it doesn't conflict with the divinely inspired narrative. Dude, I am, again, Islamic timelines, we're not getting into timelines. I felt qualified to talk about those issues that were raised in this discussion. No Islamic timelines for me. No. We're not doing it today, baby. Jafar Razvi. Razvi? That sounds very Iranian. So my possibly Iranian friend. Much of the issues of Islam stem from individuals like Ibn Taymiyyah. The Islamic Golden Renaissance died due to ontological and epistemological views. My favorite word, ontological. Russians love that word. So anyways, Jafar, while we're here, could you explain that more in detail? What do you mean by that? Because it's actually a little bit more of this conversation about Islam that I'll read. Whoa, Mama says this is heavy. Oh my gosh, it is. That's my mother commenting, so that's why I said Mama. Anyways, yeah. The Paradigm Shift channel, I raised my hand to say thanks. Thank you. Guess what? I will give you some Boosty info. I know some of you have been able to use Boosty to subscribe to this madness that I do. But anyways, how about you guys subscribe to my Boosty if you can? Some of you can, some of you can't. Some of you can over certain cards or paying by phone. I'd really appreciate it because, dude, friends, this crappy background has got to go. We've got to get a real studio. We've got to make the Chekhov base into a real all-weather home here. And I am going to start construction probably come hell or high water in September. The American Village Project, we are in the process of getting the land. If I have the land, then I might start the construction process, come hell or high water, on a new house right in the center of the American Village. But I got to do something in September. Money is losing its value, and I'm losing my sanity. So we're going to do that. So anyway, subscribe to my Boosty to help keep the Kirby base alive. I know some of you guys want some cool rewards. I'm trying to think of something that's cool for you guys. Let me know if you, I'll put it this way. If you join Boosty and start paying, let me know what kind of rewards you'd like, and maybe I can do something nice for you because I really, really need the help. It is very difficult to run multiple YouTube channels, and my career in comedy is apparently coming back, and doing a lot of voiceover work, and having children, and being a pro-American football player. I am balls to the wall. Okay, so anyways, I really want Jafar. Let me actually tell Jafar. Respond in detail. Oh, please explain what you mean. I want to hear his explanation. That interesting because, again, Russians love the word ontological. So every time I see it, I always laugh because I'm a psychopath. But I've heard the word ontological used so much ever since coming to Russia. But anyways, oh no, all my Windows vanished. Windows 10 is stupid. No, Windows 10, stop being stupid. But anyways, there was a last little bit that this guy added about Islam, and I guess we'll read that because you guys are interested. I did not see one "this is stupid" message. So anyways, our breakdown and defense of Islam coming from Orthodox Christians, defense of my brothers and friends in Chechnya. In fact, we met, you'll see when on RTTT, I don't know, he'll be in there somewhere. The Kadyrov family's personal imam showed us around Chechnya. It was awesome. He's a really cool guy. Hello there. It was great. Thank you very much. He even offered to help buy some broken equipment of ours, which is very expensive. Broken equipment is in pipe, like, allow us to replace it. So that was very cool of him, but we decided not to. That might be too gracious of an offer. So anyways, my Chechen brothers, thank you for your super ultra hospitality. In fact, while we were there, someone was just like, hey, you guys are from out of town. Let's slaughter a goat. I was like, hey, I kind of want to, but I don't have time. So anyways, I love this country. So this is the problem. When people ask me why I like Russia, I always forget stuff like that. Hey, you guys are from out of town. Let's slaughter a goat. Anyways, the Islam bashing continues. What Islam achieved in Spain is vastly overrated. So I guess maybe the person he was arguing with made the point that Islam did great things in Spain. Okay, well, I'll put it this way. It didn't do enough. The geopolitics of this, like the Rock of Gibraltar, of like that strait. I mean, that's the geopolitics of it. That's really because it's kind of the thing of like, well, the Norman conquest of England, they lost it pretty quick. The Romans lost England. It's very hard to maintain that territory going across this water. which might be bad news for Turkey. You know, so these bodies of water can spell geopolitical doom, and that really was probably what really stopped the Spanish Moors. And also the Pyrenees Mountains, I think those are the Pyrenees Mountains, where Andorra is, and their inability to push into France are probably what doomed them to not being able to have a real foothold in Europe. So, anyways, what Islam achieved in Spain is vastly overrated and has long since been debunked by both contemporary sources and an excellent book called The Myth of the Andalusian Paradise. The link provided. You're welcome to read it, in fact, for yourself. In fact, Islam in Spain is responsible for giving us the first anti-Jewish pogroms, the first true inquisitions against heresy, and the first true ecclesiastical courts against pagans and false converts. Roman Empire, the repressions of the Christians. Some people believe that the Christian writers tended to overplay their hands in terms of some of the, really embellish the martyrdom of early Christians. Again, article of faith versus what certain researchers say. But a lot of those Christians still got killed, and they still got killed. Trust me, it wasn't a humane massacre, if something could actually exist in those terms. So again, okay, so it's like the first anti-Jewish stuff, okay, possibly, but like the first religious slaughter, no. Or if we want to think of terms of maybe not so much a religious slaughter in the sense of your religion different, I kill you, but religious slaughter, dude, like the Mesoamericans and the sacrifices, come on. So I don't know, or what in ancient Egypt, the oh my god, Amanakan, the one Egyptian pharaoh who wanted to make Egypt monotheist. Oh my god, what was his name? I cannot remember. But the one Egyptian pharaoh who wanted to force Egypt to become like early monotheistic, and there was a lot of killing involved in that. So I don't know. I don't know. So I guess they're the first to do horrible things to the Jews for being Jewish. But I do remember that the Romans did a siege of Jerusalem, and there was this other fort outside of Jerusalem that was on this plateau, and boy, that siege did not end well for the Jews there. So, dude, it's like, broaden your scope of history, man. Broaden your scope of history. I don't know. Again, if anyone can help me with that fort that was on the plateau that the Romans fought against the local Jews. So anyways, keep in mind that you're also dealing with someone who is not American and who comes from a country where 20% of the population is Muslim. Oh, so you're from Russia and you don't know shit about anything. Oh. Where the legacy of Islam has left over 80 million dead, over 500. Oh. Then maybe you're from Serbia? Because Serbia does, because the borders and all that are somewhere with 20% is usually related. That's interesting. 80 million dead or 500 years of occupation. I wonder what country that is. So that's somewhere in like Eastern Europe. Dude, I don't know. Let me just put it this way. Again, this sort of like pseudo-scientific arguments don't work. Just be like, I believe that our value system was awesome. Maybe we've gone off track. We're going to maintain our beliefs. We believe that our truth is the truth that works for us, and we're going to defend it against anyone who comes to get us. Why not do it that way? I don't understand this black pill, little n nationalist, these little weird details, or someone said something, or on some page in the Quran it said something bad. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you like your own culture and have children and promote it, so that way your culture is strong enough to fight. Don't blame other people. I'll put it this way. Don't blame other people for being much better at fighting than you are. And that's where we're going to leave off for today. Any final messages? Oh, my God. They're all over the place. Akhenaten was the pharaoh who wanted to create monotheism and died for it. Take that, Akhenaten. Yeah. Jaffer, okay, he actually responded. So individuals like Ibn Taymiyyah and Al-Ghazali were the counterforces of scientific thought and reason. Logic. Remember, early Islam rediscovered Greek thought. Yeah. Well, again, this whole thing, medieval, late medieval Islam. We're going to pass on that. Al-Farabi was one individual influencing Avicenna and Maimonides. He also influenced Kazakhstan. He's on the money. Timoteo, also the pharaoh's name was Akhenaten or Akhenaten, depends on how you want to spell it. And here we have Ramzan Kadyrov is going to end things. But anyways, guys, remember, if you want to pursue nationalism, your nationalism is best done by having a lot of children, by finding the values in your society that works and promoting them and making people stronger and bringing people up. The kind of nationalism that is in this constant look to sort of try to prove that someone's bad or that they're impure. You know what happens? Then you get Ukraine, the Zimbabwe of Europe, rightfully deserved. Anyways, guys, I'm out. Tim Kirby Russia. Subscribe on Boosty or find some way to send me money. I need to make my house bigger and have a studio.